Hi, welcome to another episode of Photoshop Lightroom TV. I'm your host, Marek Mularczyk from SAItraining.co.uk, and this is episode 75 of Photoshop Lightroom TV. Now, as you know, Creative Suite 6 has been officially released. You can now purchase or buy Creative Suite 6. And I've mentioned how it works with CS6, how it works with the Creative Cloud, and other products. If you've missed it, watch one of the previous episodes of Photoshop Lightroom TV, or go to my blog, PhotoshopLightroomTV.co.uk, and find out more about the subscription service with Creative Cloud that Adobe introduced, and some offers that Adobe now offer to existing clients of Adobe products. Okay, but this is a weekly video podcast about anything Photoshop, Lightroom and photography. So let me start with a tutorial in Photoshop. I'm going to share with you on how to edit images, how to remove color casts in images by working with numbers. Intrigued? Have a look at it. So here I'm in Photoshop. I'm in Photoshop CS6. I've got this image opened, and obviously the image has a slight magenta tint. You can see on the skin, especially on the faces of people. So I'm going to jump into eyedropper tool. You can just press I on the keyboard, or you can find it here, eyedropper tool. Okay. For the sample size, choose anything but point sample. I'm going to choose 5x5 average. That should be fine. Sample layers, not important in this case because I'm on a background layer anyway. Okay, and I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to click here to put a point on the skin, and the info panel will open automatically. And if we look on the numbers here, you can see the red, green and blue. The red is the highest, it's very high, it's 132. Green is 104 and blue is 81. Let's put one more sampling point, maybe here on the table. Okay, and again red is much higher than green and blue. Right, so here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go into adjustments panel. Okay, and I'm going to click on the let's see, hue and saturation adjustment. I'm sorry, exposure, the wrong adjustment. Let me just spin that. Okay. Right, so I'm going into hue and saturation, or just click on it. In hue and saturation adjustment, I'm just going to move it out so I can see the info panel at the same time. I'm going to position it here. I'm going to click on this icon here on the pointer finger. I'll move the cursor over this sampling point here, and I'm going to click, hold the mouse button down. Now I'm moving left and right. And if you look on the info panel, notice how the colors change, how the values change. The red is going down. Okay, so now it's 125, 120, 119. What's happening here is I'm reducing the saturation. Okay. But what I want to do in here is, I don't really want to decrease the saturation, I want to play with the colors. So I'm going to close the hue and saturation, just going to bin it, and I'll show you another technique. I'm going to use the curves instead. So I'm going to click on curves. Right. In this drop down menu here, I'm going to target red channel. Okay. And once again, I'm going to click on this point here. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to click on this icon first. I'm going to click on this point here. I'm going to move it down and fast reducing the reds in the image. I'm looking at the numbers. Okay, the red is going down. Okay, I know it's getting a bit red. I'll leave it for now. Now I'm going to change the channel to blue. I'm going to do the same here. I'll just reduce the, I'm going to increase the blues, and you can see what happens with the image, obviously. So I'm going to reduce the blues. I'll switch back to reds. I'm going to bring a bit more reds in here. It's okay if it's a bit higher than green and blue, but it shouldn't be too high. That looks about right. Yeah, let's compare the before and after. So click on the eye icon here. That's before and that's after. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this working with numbers in Photoshop. Photoshop CS6, but it works with any version of Photoshop. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are not up to speed with what's new in Photoshop CS6, have a look on my videos. I've got a series of 10 videos on the new features in Photoshop CS6, or you can also purchase them on a DVD. I've just released a DVD called Unleash the Power of Photoshop CS6, where I focus on all the new features, well, not all of them, but I'll focus on all the major top new features in Photoshop CS6, and you can purchase it on a DVD. You can get it on, if you just go to saitraining.co.uk, go to books page, and in there you find all my books and DVDs that are available for purchase. You find a link somewhere here as well. Okay, let me share with you a second tutorial, excuse me. And this tutorial will be in Lightroom, and I'm going to share with you how to put text overlays over the images in slideshows when working in slideshow module in Lightroom, and how to customize them, or how to choose what text you want to appear on the slideshow. So let's move on into the Lightroom for our second tutorial. Okay, here I am in Lightroom, and I'm going to show you an interesting feature where you can use in creating slideshows. We can have some interesting text on a slideshow. I've got a couple of images here. I'm just going to select some of them, just a few. I'm just going to select the images from this beautiful pub that was created from a theatre in Cardiff, Wales. I'll jump into the slideshow panel, slideshow module. Okay, there's a couple of templates here. I'm just going to use, let's see, widescreen with black background. That's nice. I'm not going to worry about all these settings here. I'm just going to quickly add an identity plate. Could actually use a graphic if I wanted. In this case, I'm just going to use the text. But as you know, you can use graphics for identity plates as well. I'm going to highlight it. I'll change the font to Kautika. Not sure about the size. We're actually going to edit it. It's going to use Gabriola. Okay, it's a bit too big, so I can scale it here. So we'll scale it down a bit. Right, now scrolling down here, we've got text overlays. And when I saw it for the first time, I was thinking, okay, text overlays, but why is it all grayed out? Why can I not access all these options? And I went through all the options here in the column on the right hand side, and I couldn't find the answer. Now here's why. If I just scroll to text overlays, at the bottom, directly above the film strip, you've got this ABC button here, where you can add text to your slides. So if you click on that, okay, next you can choose what you want to see on the image. So for example, we can use a caption, okay, and you can see the text overlays in here. So you can choose the font and font face. There's a lot of really interesting features in here, like for example date. Okay. Now you may be thinking, okay, now how do I want to resize this text? How do I do that? Well, you just drag it here. That's how you make the text smaller, right? Maybe a different font. Let's use the same Gabriola. Okay, very nice. And you can choose two equipment, so I'll show you the camera and the lens used. Might be an interesting feature. Or the exposure information, so the aperture, let me just move it so you can see it, clearly see it. The aperture and the shutter speed, right? But there's also another option here called file name, obviously, and the caption. Now here's how the caption works. You could type in here, or you can actually use the caption from the file. So if I just go to library module, okay, I'm going to just deselect them all and select this first image. In the metadata section, I've got a caption here. So I'm going to type in a pep in the theatre, Wales, just an example. Oh, Wales. Okay. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed this Lightroom tutorial and the Photoshop tutorial earlier as well. I'm Marek Mularczyk from SAI Training.co.uk, one of the UK's leading specialists in Adobe Certified Training, and the author of the blog at PhotoshopLightroomTV.co.uk. Now, just before I leave you, just before we finish this week's episode of Photoshop Lightroom TV, I want to leave you with a tip of the week. This will be a photography tip. If you use an SLR camera, you may have noticed on the back of your camera in the menu that you can choose between two color modes, Adobe RGB and sRGB. You won't find it on compact cameras, you will only find it on SLR cameras. In case you're wondering which one to choose, well, first of all, this option only applies to JPEG if you shoot JPEG. And obviously Adobe RGB will be the best choice. It's the best color profile with wider gamut. Okay. And this is the one you should go for. But if you shoot RAW, it doesn't matter which one you choose, because you can set up the workflow options when importing RAW images into either Camera Raw or Lightroom. Okay, so here's the tip of the week in photography. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Come stop by and say hello on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn or Google+. And I will see you next week in the next episode of Photoshop Lightroom TV. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.